Bro went from selling out arenas and landing billboard hits to popping up on live streams, sweating, talking in circles, and clearly not himself. And nobody around him is stepping in. One of the most gifted rappers to ever come out of Florida. A kid, Music, who came up in the projects with nothing and flipped that into millions. And right now, in 2026, he's still in a fight that's slowly been taking everything from him: his health, his music reputation, his momentum. And most people aren't even speaking on how serious it's really gotten. Today, we're breaking down Kodak Black's 2026 lifestyle. No cap. And what we found, it's honestly tough to watch. Let me paint the picture real quick, because to understand where Kodak is now, you've got to remember who he was. This is a man who, at just 19, dropped a debut album that hit number 3 on the Billboard 200. A man who had Travis Scott and Offset on a major record. A man with multiple platinum plaques, who built his own label, Sniper Gang, music from the ground up, and who came from a level of poverty most artists today have never experienced. Kodak Black was the real thing. The talent, undeniable. The come-up, inspiring. And his connection with fans, especially those who lived like him, was real. This wasn't some industry-made act. This was someone turning real pain into real music. È maggiore di music. È maggiore di, and that's exactly why watching this now hits so hard. But here's what really happened. The same environment that built him also started to break him down. And the substances that slipped into his life didn't just affect a few interviews or a rough week. They began eating away at everything he created. And the people closest to him, a lot of them either stayed quiet or just didn't know how to help. Music. We're diving deep today. We're going back to the start, tracing how things escalated, looking at what his everyday life in 2026 actually looks like, and asking the question fans keep asking: why hasn't he gotten the real help he needs? Stay locked in, because this one really hits different. Let's rewind all the way back, because you can't understand Kodak Black's addiction by starting when things fell apart. You've got to understand the environment he came from. Bill Capri, born Toussaint Octave on June 11, 1997, grew up in the Golden Acres housing projects in Pompano Beach, Florida. His father wasn't around. His mother, Marceline, a Haitian immigrant, raised him alone in one of the toughest parts of South Florida. From early on, survival mattered more than stability. Now here's the key part. Kodak wasn't just some kid who randomly got into rap. He was locked in music on it. By 12, he was already in a rap group. He studied the dictionary and thesaurus just to sharpen his bars. He recorded at a local studio, impressing older guys who became his influences. Music was his escape. But by middle school, he'd already been expelled for fighting and arrested for auto theft. He once said his options growing up were selling, hustling, or music rapping. That was it. No guidance counselor. No safety net. And honestly, that kind of mindset, being forced to choose between risky paths, tells you everything about the mental space he was in before even turning 15. When your idea of success is built on survival and risk, you don't suddenly develop healthy coping skills just because money starts coming in. The patterns are already there. The mindset is already wired. So he chose rap, and he excelled. By 2014, he dropped breakthrough music records, and things took off fast. Drake posted himself dancing to his song. Atlantic Records reached out. By 2017, his debut album landed at number 3 on the Billboard 200, and Tunnel Vision hit number 6 on the Hot 100. That kid from the projects? Now a real superstar. And look, when success hits that fast, that young, with that kind of background, it's overwhelming. Even people from stable environments struggle with fame and money. Kodak came from the complete opposite. So expecting him to navigate it perfectly, that was never realistic. But nobody around him made sure he had the support system to even try. And this matters, because while everything looked good on the surface, nothing really changed around him. Same streets, same people, same pressure. Fame added money and attention, but not healing or structure. And for someone who went through what Kodak did, no father, Poverty, early arrests, is greater than music, is greater than that trauma doesn't just disappear when your bank account grows. That's where the foundation for everything later was built. Not in a studio, not in court, but in a childhood where he never really got to just be a kid. Music. Now let's talk about how things escalated, because this wasn't overnight. It was gradual. Legal trouble started early, but it picked up once the spotlight hit. In 2016, Kodak faced serious allegations in South Carolina cases that dragged on until 2021. Years of uncertainty, legal stress, constant pressure. For someone barely in their early 20s, that kind of weight changes you mentally. It wears you down. And when you're already carrying trauma from childhood absent father, poverty, music, early arrests, adding years of legal battles on top makes it easier to look for an escape. That's not an excuse, it's just how unresolved stress builds over time. Then in 2019, he was arrested for making false statements to purchase firearms and got nearly 4 years in federal prison. He stayed locked up until January 2021, when President Donald Trump commuted his sentence. While behind bars, he even dropped his third album. But here's where it gets deeper. It's easy to look at his record and just see incidents. But those incidents show a pattern: someone who never got real mental health support or intervention. Every time things improved, something pulled him back. And a big part of that pull? Substances. His dependency on certain pills, especially opioid painkillers, became noticeable to fans before he ever spoke on it. His energy changed. Interviews got unpredictable. Performances became inconsistent. And here's the thing about dependency. It doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it's someone still working, still touring, still dropping music, while quietly breaking down inside. That slow decline is dangerous because people convince themselves everything is fine. But functional doesn't mean okay. Then, in June 2024, Kodak finally opened up during a live show in Los Angeles. He told the crowd about his lowest point, describing daily usage that shocked people. He said he wanted it to be a warning, not something to glorify. He even said he regretted lyrics in Super Gremlin music because he felt like he promoted that lifestyle while living it. For a moment, it felt like a turning point, but it didn't stop there. Around that same time, reports came out that he was using more than just music. When he was arrested in 2023 under suspicion of carrying an illegal substance, he openly admitted what he was using, including another substance that caught fans off guard. He said it himself. No hiding it. Think about that. A 6-year-old with 5 kids, a label, a platinum catalog, openly dealing with multiple dependencies. By May 2025, he appeared on a major freestyle platform in New York. Mid-verse, he referenced that second substance again. Social media blew up. Some thought it was just bars. Others were worried. But Kodak had already confirmed it wasn't just lyrics. One fan said on TikTok, "Kodak, the only artist I've watched grow up while fighting addiction. It hurts because he could be so much more." And that's the reality. Everyone sees it. Fans, artists, industry insiders. But why nothing's changing? That's the real question. So here we are, 2026. What does his life actually look like? On the surface, there are positives. In April 2026, he performed at the April Fool's Comedy Jam at Barclays Center in New York. He's been touring, including Texas stops on his Cowboy Bill tour. He recently signed with a major booking agency, so business-wise, people are still backing him. Is greater than? Music is greater than? His streaming numbers are rising, gaining over 14,000 followers in just the first 2 weeks of April. Musically, he reportedly dropped his 8th album, more personal, more soulful, with features from Pharrell, Gunna, and Lil Yachty. There's even a 9-minute track where he opens up deeply. The music is still there. The shows are still happening. The platform is still alive. But here's the complicated part. Behind all that, the addiction hasn't gone anywhere. And sold-out shows don't change what happens behind closed doors. Let's walk through it. Early 2024, Kodak celebrated sobriety. On Instagram Live, he said he was proud, said his usage was way down, said he'd never felt happier. Fans supported him. It felt genuine, By July 2024, he said he was mostly sober, could go days without using. He even promised to stop performing Super Gremlin because it triggered him. He told fans, "If the Gremlin can do it, y'all can too." That's someone trying to change. But then November 2024 happened. He appeared on a major streaming event, and fans were alarmed. He looked off, rambling, sweating, at one point appearing to take something on camera. Millions were watching. The internet reacted instantly. Then he addressed it on Instagram Live, and instead of denying it, he basically confirmed it. When a fan said they liked him better sober, he snapped back, saying sobriety wasn't for him, that he was young, rich, and didn't see the point. "I'm too young to be sober." That line hit hard, because it shows the mindset that makes addiction so hard to break. When you're still successful, still making money, still performing, it doesn't feel like a crisis from the inside. And that's the danger. Then in May 2025, two respected voices in the community were seen talking to him roadside. A viral clip showed one telling him, "You special. Don't doubt yourself. Is greater than, music is greater than, and your kids need you." It felt real, genuine concern. But even that didn't shift things. Weeks later, he was referencing substances again. The cycle continued. Music. And that's what really hits it, shows how deep this goes. One conversation isn't enough. Now in 2026, Kodak is Music 28. 5 kids. A label, loyal fans. Still working, still creating. But the addiction confirmed by him multiple times is still there. And real, structured, professional help? It doesn't seem to be happening. And that leads to the bigger issue. Why hasn't he gotten help? It's not just about him, it's about everything around him. First, the entourage. Not unique to Kodak. When artists blow up, they bring their people. Loyalty is real, but loyalty isn't accountability. When one person has all the money and power, nobody wants to speak up. Nobody wants to lose access. So people stay quiet even when it's hurting him. And that silence, that's dangerous. Second, the industry. There's a long history of profit coming before well-being. If music drops and tours sell, money flows. And when money flows, health conversations get pushed aside. That's bigger than Kodak, but it affects him directly. Third, Kodak himself. Addiction isn't a moral failure, it's a medical issue. It changes how you think. And his too young to die sober mindset, that's something that needs real professional help to unpack. Fourth, the accountability gap. When behavior gets normalized, it's harder to call out. Even people close to him have been caught up in conflict instead of solutions. 5 kids, public relapses. That should be the loudest warning sign. People have tried. Fans care. He's shown moments of wanting better. But the gap between concern and real intervention is huge, and it hasn't been filled. So zoom out. This isn't just about Kodak. It's a pattern hip-hop has seen again and again. The difference between those who make it through and those who don't. Often the support system, and right now his system isn't holding. At 28, with everything he's achieved, he still has time. He's not a finished story. But it takes the right help, the right decisions, and people willing to choose hard truths over comfort. To those around him, the real ones, it's time. Not talks, not comments, real help. The kind that might cost access but could save his life. And for the fans, keep showing love. Because sometimes, that's what breaks through music. Kodak Black, at his best, is one of the most authentic voices in hip-hop. And people want to hear what that sounds like years from now on the other side of this. That's what's at stake. Well, keep watching, keep hoping, and keep it real. Stay up, Yak.